So what we're actually needing is different strategies that are coming from a different place altogether. So within Buddhism, because kind of Buddha got to a state of mind that was a different place altogether, he was able to give us like extraordinary strategies, not ordinary ones. And a kind of an outside the box thinking on these things. Because he was outside the box, the box of confusion and repression that we're usually in. It stepped so far outside it that what he was able to teach was extraordinary to us, I could say. So the first one we've kind of a little bit touched on, just that practice of watching our mind, the strategy of watching our mind. Bringing awareness to what's arising for us moment by moment, making the invisible visible, bringing the unconscious into the conscious level, But what I would add here too is to do this, especially when our mind is agitated or tense and tight, or uncomfortable. And this is a time to be especially vigilant with our mind. No, we're not just watching at the times when we're feeling serene and peaceful. If we wait for those times, it hardly ever happens. So it's like especially when the mind's uncomfortable, you just notice that discomfort in the mind, and you're like just extra attentive to yourself, extra caring with yourself, I suppose. And we try not to buy into everything that our mind is telling us. In that moment, we recognize often our thinking is unreliable. We're a little bit distorting things. We're missing a bigger picture, missing other perspectives. Not really. We're not really knowing other people's intentions. That person who asked me that question. Probably good intention, no malicious intention whatsoever, I would say. But we miss all this because we get so like triggered in our own stuff, we can't see the wood for the trees. So we watch our mind, we see what's coming up for us, we acknowledge the trigger, we acknowledge the response. And in terms of those feelings of fear and insecurity and stress, we can almost think of them as strangers. I don't know, you could try this. Strangers we want to befriend. So they're not really us, they're not our true nature, so not identifying with them is like the stranger aspect of them. They're like a stranger within our mind. They're not our true nature. It's not our true nature to be stressed and fearful, even though maybe we often are. Not our true nature to be like this. So we see them as a little bit like other within our mind. So they're a stranger within our mind, but we're going to befriend them. So when we befriend someone, we sit down with them. Here, we drink tea with them. Not in every culture do you have to have a cup of tea when you talk to somebody. But here it's a little bit like that. So maybe you can imagine like this, where when that fear and stress and insecurity is coming up for you, think, I'm gonna sit with it, I'm gonna have a cup of tea with it, and when you befriend someone, you acknowledge them, don't you? You look at them, you listen to them, you acknowledge them. And that's the same with these feelings. It's the very opposite of repressing them. Repressing them, we ignore them, push them down, bottle them up. So it's like acknowledging them. We're in no way intimidated by them or afraid of them. We're going to befriend them. It's like I think is a nice analogy, to think like this and befriend them, and we could imagine asking questions like, what's this really all about? Like trying to get clarity, trying to see what's going on with us. And this is like an everyday kind of practice. It's not a big, often we think about these things as being like a big one-off revelation or breakthrough moment. Sometimes we have these where we get a clear insight into what's going on with us. But what we're looking at here is a more like everyday practice, just more regular, ongoing process, daily practice.